Tonight's gospel carries a strong, strong message. Some 60 years ago and longer, it influenced my life. It all started in the Army. Less than 2 weeks after I graduated from college, I was drafted. At the time, I was engaged to my wife. And I spent my first year in Fort Riley, Kansas, being taught Army intelligence and then teaching it to officers. After a year, I was transferred to Fort Holabird, Maryland, where I did the same thing. We decided to get married at that time, and soon thereafter, our first son was on the way. It was a good time. My wife taught little second graders in the school. And when I got out of the Army, I got a good job with General Motors. And not too long thereafter, we started building our own home. And we attended St. Joseph's Church in Maryland. And on one occasion, I volunteered to take a 12-week course so that I could qualify to teach CCD, the Confraternity of Christian Doctrine. And that was held in Aberdeen, Maryland, and it was put on by the Mission Helpers of the Sacred Heart. On one occasion, a sister told us about agape love. At the time, I didn't know what she was talking about. So she told us that Jesus wants us to love those who don't love us back, whom most likely we don't care for at all. Well, my wife and I were cradle Catholics, and up to that point, I thought we were doing a pretty good job of being a Catholic family. I love those who love me. I did good for those who did good for me. And I heard in response in this gospel, which Sister read, at the same gospel, Luke 6, verses 27 to 38. And that told me quite a bit. It sort of burst my bubble. I went from thinking that I was doing really good, only to find out that what I was doing was no big deal. It was what was expected of me as a Catholic Christian. So I wasn't doing great things. I was only doing what I was supposed to do. So that placed me in a category of where I thought I was a really good Catholic, and my family was too, to just an average person. I knew that Jesus wanted more from us, but I didn't know quite how to go about it. Sister told us, and of course, we knew these things. I can't tell you why I hadn't responded to this gospel or agape love before. Maybe it was too difficult for me at the time. Maybe I just didn't care. Maybe I didn't want to care. But she told us never to condemn, never to judge, and she said judging people is nothing more than attempting to justify your thoughts, your words, and your actions. That's all it is. Well, that was pretty tough for me to take. And I'd like to reread to you again the last sentence of tonight's gospel. For the measure with which you measure will in turn be measured out to you. You can try to translate this any way you want to, but what it means is this: if you are unwilling not to judge people, or if you are not willing not to judge people, you will be judged. If you're not willing to forgive people, you will not be forgiven. We're here on earth for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to be with Jesus in paradise. So, as difficult as this may sound, it's also an opportunity. We can control ourselves. We can control how much we will be forgiven. We can control how much we can be justified in not justifying ourselves, but in others. We can control this. And by that measure, we in turn will be judged. My brothers and sisters, we need to go beyond our comfort zones. We cannot afford to continue, if you would, or at least in my case, it used to be over 60 years ago. We can continue to judge people, but we know we're going to be judged if we do. We can continue not to forgive people, but we know we will not be forgiven. We have no choice. We must love the good and the bad. There's a prayer that I say every day, and part of it I'd like to read to you. It says, "Send me, my Lord, if you need me, to touch others as you would touch them, to hold them as you would, to love them as only you can. Make my heart like yours, that I may forgive everything and love beyond my own human frailty." My brothers and sisters, it's time to step up. It's time to recognize this tremendous gospel, this powerful gospel. Jesus meant what he said. How do we know this? We've known it all along. Perhaps we haven't paid as much attention to it. The golden rule. You know what that is. The greatest commandment: love your God and love your neighbor as yourself. How many times have you and I prayed the Our Father in our lifetime? 500 times? 5,000? 50,000? Each time we pray that prayer, we say a phrase: "Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us." It's time, my brothers and sisters, to take seriously what Jesus wants us to be. It's not easy loving someone who doesn't love you, but it is salvific. God bless you.